Where was I? Oh, today 4, 9th of March, Tadpole Hike and Labori Beach. So, Tadpole, a far easier hike comparing to Gros Piton, was on our bucket list because from there you have the best view of both pythons. The twin peaks of the island. Going here is easy. Took the minibus to Soufrier for 6 XCD each, approximately 4.5 USD both, and stepped out at Fondue Eco Resort, and from there walked 1 mile to the trail itself. A trail of around 2 kilometers approximately, yes. Here we got also a guide, but we paid just 10 USD each, so 20 in total. The young lad told us a lot of things about the plants there, about the fact that pineapple needs 9 months to 1 year to grow. We learned that the national plant of Saint Lucia is the bamboo, and of course we saw the pythons at their prime and bought our first souvenirs. The cost of the tipping and souvenirs gathered another 20 USD. From here we took the path back to the resort and the bus from there. But we stopped at Labori Beach at last. Our first sun bath and swim. To this location we were charged 8 XCD both, or 3 USD to be more specific. I've given the driver 15 XCD because I didn't know the tariff exactly, but once again these guys were stunning in terms of correctness, so rely on them guys, because for sure they don't want to fool you. Now, moving a bit to a more problematic part of our trip. We bought some snacks and then headed for another famous beach on the island, Labori, which is the closest we can get apart from the deserted sandy near our accommodation in Vieux Fort. After 2 good hours, and of course with shoot out the only proof that I had for a couple of hours, Saint Lucia bracelet, which afterwards have been lost, we are heading back to the minibus station. The first of them doesn't stop because it was full, but the second takes us on board for another 6 XCD or 2.2 USD both, and drops us at the terminal in Vieux Fort. Since we have some time left, we decide to have a quick walk through the downtown, a small one indeed, with quiet people, basic shops, some interesting buildings, and a memorial square. That catches my eye, and after a round of the center, I stop in front of its gates, which very oddly are closed. I see the symbol of Saint Lucia, 2 birds that resemble so much with the badge of my hometown's former football team, FCM Bacău, or FCM Bacău as it is pronounced in Romanian. Took some pictures, and then a guard appears, so of course I'm asking, why is this locked? Seeing also 2 black flags raised on both sides of the gates. The answer is quite abrupt. My colleague was shot dead yesterday in a crossfire, and for today it is closed. But do you want to enter? You can if you wish, he told me on a friendly voice. I must admit, I got some chills. Shooting in Saint Lucia, can that be? I've thanked politely the guard and headed for Massy with the goal to get home as soon as possible. Now at Massy I was using the Wi-Fi and read that indeed the day before 3 people, 2 men and a woman, were shot dead in a gang retaliation. Exactly in Vieux Fort. Well, what to say? Everything happened within 1 mile from our accommodation. And the most funny thing is that a day before, when we arrived, we saw a lot of people gathered in a place near the field full of goats and horses. I thought it was a reunion, maybe a celebration, a small festival. Sorry, my pronunciation. I killed that word. No, the exact place there was where the first man was shot. Wow. We were passing by here every day. Knowing what happened, I must admit, scared me more than it did scare Danka, and I have did some research. This is to start our day 5, the 10th of March, visiting the capital city of Castries. So I did some research. Indeed, the criminality in Saint Lucia is rising, and well, the only good news, to say it like this, I saw is that these things happen only among the gang members, which I have learned afterwards were friends. And if one shoots another, then their friends, family comes for his, her relative. So sad. I was asking myself and telling anybody on the island, why they cannot just fist fight maybe? Why should they shoot themselves? What is the point? I felt a mix of fear, pity and sadness because what is happening, but in the because of what is happening, but in the end people were 100% kind, polite and well intended with us, so we followed our vacation logic, and for this day Castries was scheduled for a visit. A team XCD round trip each, then 14.5 USD both, and we secure our 2.5 hour trip to and from Castries. The capital city is somewhere 56 kilometers northwest, so in the exact opposite side of the island, but it is by far the biggest place on Saint Lucia. 20,000 inhabitants don't look to be a lot indeed, but comparing to other places, this location was very different. Traffic, crowded places and local attractions. We walked through the city, went for a hot cup of coffee as the morning one faded already. People are a bit more annoying here, honestly speaking, but not something we are not accustomed with maybe in Romania. The buildings are very colorful, but the facility is quite poor, I would say. The mall, Blue Coral, is more of a joke, honestly. And if you want to buy a coffee from KFC, for example, don't go for it. You cannot. There is none. It is surprising, but not something that bothers us in any way in the end. The sun is strong, and this is the biggest problem. We wonder a bit more. Take a glance of the 3 huge cruise ships parked in the ports, do some grounding, take a walk to the small airport to see how is the road for next Monday. Details coming shortly. And check out the huge market next to the city center, but we hesitate to visit it just yet. Some good hours are spent here to blend in as much as possible in the atmosphere. It is getting late, so we need to head back to our base camp in View Fort. The minibus departs quick, and in 70 minutes we are departing near Massy and prepare for another splendid sunset that we could see every evening from the hill we are climbing to get to Piece of Paradise, and also for our chill from the loft. My thought is still at the shooting though, but the atmosphere doesn't get complicated. Only a heavy silence on the village. Sheep are nowhere to be seen in some specific sections in which they were abandoned a couple of days ago. Well, actually they were goats, not sheep, but regardless. And some schools closed. We move along. There is nothing we can do apart from taking all the best we can for the holiday we dreamt of so much. Officially, we are about to spend our first weekend in Saint Lucia and only complete one. So what to do? We decide quite quickly. In it is Anka's idea, and it will follow just along this. So day 6, 8, 11th of March, Anse Chastanet. Well, weekend gives an even chiller vibe to Saint Lucia in spite of what happens. We take a ride to Soufrière again, but this time with a clear purpose to reach Anse Chastanet beach, one of the most well known on the island and also one of the hardest to reach. So, as discussed before, the price for a round trip by bus for both persons is 28 XCD, translated in USD is 10 approximately. The half was paid, of course, when we reach the lovely town, and we have one goal to get to the famous beach. I know there is a 2.5 kilometer road, so I try my luck with the bus driver. Can you get us there for some extra money? Well, man, I could do that for 40 USD. The road is very bad. I didn't believe it at first, but I have checked that, and the guy was not lying. Better take a boat taxi, which we did. A lot of guys that offer this service can be found there, and saw one welcomed us and said 17 USD round trip for both, or at least this is what I have understood. Asking once more at Anka's advice, it proved out to be 70 USD. I was not happy with this. The boat taxi and Chastanet for experience, though. I found another guy. Well, the initial seller brought him, which charged us only 60 USD. Initially, we wanted to go only by boat and to return by foot, but traveling with the blue water vehicle, we concluded that a round trip is better. So Malcolm left us there for 4 hours to chill, and when he returned we have paid. The trip itself was very short, but traveling which with such a small boat, guys, believe me, it worth all the money. Only for the view you have at the two pythons. On the beach we lay down, swam, sunbath, leave the sun to burn us under the huge coconut and palm trees, and at the end we ate a very good Creole lunch at the resort restaurant. 75 USD for both with everything included. Not very cheap, but neither crazy expensive considering the location. Now Malcolm is back and we are heading to Soufrière for a final overview of the village and of Hummingbird Beach, where we take some pictures, then we go for our headquarters, of course. Second day of the weekend, day 7, 12th of March, run, beach, and the trip to the lighthouse. A funny fact here is that we left at 16 p.m. with the last minibus to View Fort. Being Saturday, the schedule is shorter, but I didn't know that, so we were very close to take a taxi. We were lucky this time, and so we were to find out in this back trip that on Sunday there is no bus from View Fort to Soufrière. It kind of makes sense, but I didn't thought of it like that. So I was under water because we have made and paid a reservation at Project Chocolat. So already gave 138 USD for both, and with a reservation quite unsustainable, as the taxi to and from there would have been very costly. In the end, it was my mistake and I was willing to pay for it. Still, I'm seeking alternatives. I tried to reach the facility with no luck. Then Lorraine, our lovely host, calls the hotel. It is primarily a hotel chain originating from UK, and then a chocolate making experience. After a few minutes of direct chat, the staff accepted to postpone the visit from Sunday to Tuesday, and that saves around 100 USD for our host helped hugely once more. Now, what to do then? Another problem is that being very euphoric on the beach the previous day, I left my hat aside and the strong sun gave me a serious heat stroke and I was not in the best shape. Moreover, I was developing fever, so that was not the best of news. Anyway, I went for a 3 kilometer decent run in the late morning and afterward decided to continue with some more kilometers alongside Anka on the beach to the beach. Same beach from the first day despite all the events. A Sunday morning in view fort is something as smooth as a fine cream. Nothing seems to bother you apart from what we knew already happened. I was continuously thinking if they have stopped. Heavy police squads are deployed in the city and walk around in big cars, which is kind of a relief. Or ourselves just want to see how the beach looks on a Sunday if it is more crowded. Actually, it isn't, and I think this happens because of its vicinity with the fisherman neighborhood. Who knows? We just enjoy some mild sunshine from under the trees, this time only from beneath them, and went back for an afternoon inside. I take a nap as my fever moist my body. So afterwards we should remain the whole day inside? Well, no. Let's take the lighthouse. Let's take the lighthouse 2 kilometers up from Piece of Paradise. A famous building awaits. The journey is splendid, but the perimeter of the lighthouse is locked, so view to the place where the Atlantic meets the Caribbean Sea and the beautiful sunset are seen from more difficult angles. At least we touched the southernmost point of the island. A new week awaits and we are very enthusiastic. After a steady weekend, Castria will be again our destination, this time for a helicopter trip, which you imagine we expect to be epic. Meanwhile, I found out that the shooting progressed for 48 hours and not 3 people are dead, but 7 and a 9-year-old child injured. This stopped only on Saturday morning, the main reason, I guess, for which the police in such big effective is in village on Sunday. I still feel some fear, but it got diluted and I tell myself that tourists are not involved, and they aren't, but still. Let's catch up with part 3 later on, guys. Bye!